to them, they have some inadequacy in them. When you stand up to them and you face them, many times they will back away and you're not the one to be bullied. And they seem to find the person who has something, in them that is bullied, and then everybody descends with that person. So it is true, you do need to stand up. But where do we get the courage sometimes? Maybe it's a shouting match. You're not a red personality who's loud. You're a quieter person. You think of what to do afterwards. How do you handle that? And that's why it's really important for institutions to have policies, to have cultures, to have the signal from the top, to train leaders on what is real leadership. It's not command and control, because it's the authoritarian type of leadership that people think that is what true leadership is. It's about you harnessing, leading teams. You're just a leader, you're inspiring you, they do the work. And what is acceptable behavior, what is not, and censoring them. And having reporting systems that are actually taken seriously. But if there's an absence of that and is condoned from the top or at the expense of performance, then people are afraid and they'll just keep quiet, withdraw, and then you see people leaving.
But doesn't that often happen, though, Mary, that in as much as somebody may bully you as an individual, the likelihood of others who are at par with them on the same level, because we're still in the workplace here, that are on the same level as them or even higher, are also likely to hear what they say. So even if you bring, and this is the fear of a lot of folks, that even if you bring an issue like that forward, the likelihood of you being believed or something being done in your favor is reduced, because that attitude that bully takes towards you is also the same attitude that they take toward anybody else who might intervene in a situation. So how do you handle that?
And as well,
honestly, I don't have all the answers. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
We can
discuss it.
Yes, absolutely.
Dennis, you want to say something?
No, look at a situation where there is bullying, say, in the leadership structure from top all the way. Your immediate boss, is a bully. Their boss is a bully and goes all the way
to the board.
Where do you go to? Because most of the time you find you get to keep quiet. Someone else, you find high turnover is high.
That's a chain of some really insecure people.
City, a bank.
But
a bank. Happens. And even if we don't talk about it, it happens all the time. There's a bank, and it starts from the...
And you find others record it. You record it. But where do you take that information? Because as you say, Kenya does not have a policy that addresses this. Do I die with my problems? Do I walk away from work? How do I deal with my...
Dennis,
bills that I need to pay?
You have a lot of stress.
Dennis, let me tell you something.
Yes, it is.
Why I mentioned culture is because a lot of people derive this need to dominate others in the crudest way possible. Part of it is cultural. Part of it is your own inadequacies. Some of it are real. They've been imposed upon you. Some of them are things that you've simply picked up along the way because of the ambitions you have. The things you want to do, there are heights you want to reach. Now, the reason why in a workplace it is difficult to deal with is, I think Mary mentioned very clearly, people want to keep their jobs. And they do not want to challenge any authority figure for fear that they would lose their jobs.
Absolutely.
Okay? But you see, challenging an authority figure doesn't have to be confrontational, doesn't have to be ugly.
Yeah.
You can find a way in which you can actually have a conversation.
Without it being a shouting ugly
No,
match.
it doesn't have to be. And that person, with time, may even have an opportunity to listen. I'm saying this because it is not complicated to understand how bullies grow to be even bigger bullies. It's because they are allowed to flourish.
Yes.
There's no challenge. And challenge doesn't, again, have to be confrontational and ugly. It can just be by raising a question and raising it again. That is a challenge. Why am I saying this? We take examples from the top. When you have a leadership in a country that appears to be dictatorial, you do not know just how the consequences will be very far-reaching.
Yeah.
People take the cue, and everybody wants to fit into that. So anybody who's in a leadership position, no matter how low down that particular food chain, they expect to speak and people obey. Now, those are tendencies, but those tendencies can be challenged. The reason why you talk of a democracy is because it was long understood that if you have power that is unchecked, what the outcome will be harmful. Now, that has to be in the workplace, because arguably you all have the same goal, but arguably the process that you want to follow may not be the same. Any setup where people are allowed to flourish and opinions are allowed to flow, it is not difficult to tell how that place...
It's not.
Yeah. You will see.
Yeah, you see it immediately. And there are places, I mean, look at governments also. They're the biggest workplaces.
Yes.
Whether we're talking about the Kenyan one, we're talking about the American one, and we are all seeing in front of the world what is happening. There are places I know and you know. People say there's a toxic work culture.
Work environment, yeah.
Work environment. And you look at the people, those are the behaviors. That's why I tell clients, please do your due diligence. When you're looking for a job, it's both ways. They're doing due diligence on you, do the same on theirs. Let me just explain. There's 5, the typology of workplace bullying is 5 behaviors. And there's something called the Workplace Bullying Institute. They've actually come up with the 25 most common workplace bullying tactics.
For a moment, Mary, I thought that if you want to
If
become
you
a
want to
bully,
there's a school you can go to.
There's a school you go to.
how to become a fantastic bully.
They do a lot of research. They do a lot of research. Yes. They have research, particularly the health sector in UK. They have research in Finland. But and I would urge people just to Google and find out those tactics, because I found I'd been bullied and I didn't realize. But the topology of 5 workplace bullying behaviors: 1, threat to your professional status, which is, belittling your opinions. There's public professional humiliation, accusations regarding lack of effort, intimidating use of discipline or competency procedures. Then there's another one: threat to your personal standing, where people undermine your personal integrity. There's a very, destructive innuendo and sarcasm. They make inappropriate jokes, about the target, persistent teasing, name calling. And those kind of behavior, people don't understand. They make you very uncomfortable. Why are you referring to me, or my face, or my hair, or my weight, or my, when are you getting married? Those little innuendos and jokes, intimidation.
That dark boy.
Who is black like the sun? Those are personal standing and making jokes in front of clients and others. Then there's isolation, where people prevent you access to opportunities, physical or social. Have you ever had a job and you need budget and you're not being given budget? And they know you need budget, and they're withdrawing the budget, and they do that even in governments and certain ministries. I know. They withhold even information from you, and that is deliberate, keeping you out of the loop. Meetings are called, you're not being called into the meeting, and you're saying, I thought you're talking about my area.
And then somebody actually asks, why didn't you attend the meeting? And you ask, which meeting?
Which meeting? Deliberate. That's isolation. Then there's overwork. That's undue pressure, impossible deadlines, unnecessary destabilization, which a lot of people do. And then the last one, the 5th one, is destabilization. I know I suffered from isolation from the PS. I used to be told, you're friends with Treasury, you go to Treasury. I did not get budget for 2 years. I had to go direct. And I remember that year we were given, me and Kenya Railways, direct from Treasury, when I had to go and see Esther Koimet and make the case. And then later they were saying, why don't you be like Mary? You said she went to Treasury and she got her own budget. Because I was given direct through the Exchequer, which has never happened. And the other one was destabilization, where they include failure to acknowledge your good work, allocation of meaningless tasks, removal of responsibilities. People are sent on special assignment. You have an office and a desk is clean. There's nothing happening there.
Special assignment.
There is
at the end of the hall.
So there is a question that has been asked there by Nixon Hamisi, who is saying, I was bullied in primary school and high school due to my disability. I went through trauma and it lowered my self-esteem up to now. How can I come out of this situation?
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that you were bullied, and it takes a very long. I would say I know it's not popular and I haven't gone. I'm afraid that when I go there, I'll open and cry mountains of rivers.
Which is okay.
But my children are really good, and the younger people are so open. I think therapy or getting a coach, somebody to talk with. I speak a lot with clients, and you realize that everything comes, as you were saying, those deep emotions, they blind you, the mindset that you have. So speaking with people, trying to heal, because you do need to confront it and see what it was about and be able to face it. Definitely, those are some of the things that perhaps somebody could think of, but I'm not an expert when it comes to that. But it is the difficult thing.
But coping, how do you cope? Because this is one of the things that, I mean, just from the comments, I mean, we're looking at so many of them this morning, and just you either are one or know of one who's been in that position. But the truth of the matter is, Mary, that you need the job.
Yeah.
Look at the times in which we are in today, and somebody who's going to tell you, oh, stop it, buck up. Somebody's treating you badly in the office. Are you going to quit your job because somebody called you a name? So those are the real decisions that you have to deal with. And that, how do you deal with that when you're dealing with an economic situation on one hand, and you're dealing with this clear psychological problem, and in many cases physical problem as well? Because imagine the trauma of having to wake up every single day to go to a job where you know somebody is going to treat you in a certain way.
By the way,
every day.
When you're getting close to the office, you get water in your stomach. I used to sit, when as you went towards the last year, I used to sit 5 minutes in the car to decide what I want to get up and go. Honestly, I know it. I think what Siti was saying, it was you, Dennis, who said, really approaching that person and having a discussion. But if that doesn't work, your HR hasn't worked, obviously, is getting together with your peers and saying, can we go to the boss's boss? And say we are having issues, we are not able to work, and state them clearly, having first talked to the person bullying you.
But you know, Mary, for someone to do that,
those need courage. That courage of leadership is hard.
Courage, and you need to have a very healthy self-esteem.
Yes.
You see, one of the things that bullying does, it undermines your self-esteem completely. So it's very easy for you to just sort of like move like a wind vane.
You even dress different. You know how you're
everything about you actually stop caring about yourself. Yes. So and it can tell, but
good friends help. Good friends help.
No, good friends.
They don't.
They actually do, Mary. I agree.
They
with
help.
You.
Good friends. Somebody to see another perspective.
I was going to say that they're not many. That's a problem.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And a good friend will say, "Look, this one. There's a way in which we can do this. Consider for a single second, an HR that makes people understand that there's an avenue for complaint and you can go to them.
Yes.
That's how it starts.
Yes.
If you have a problem, come. I have been in situations where I've been asked to help mediate when somebody has actually complained about another colleague because they felt that person
is too much.
Yes, I know. And I'm talking about standard group.
It happens everywhere.
So it means HR took the step and took whatever complaint that was brought forth seriously, and they said, look, this is what we need to address. And the matter was addressed.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
But there's another situation where I had an HR of a company, big corporate company, call me and say, please talk to this lady. She's traumatized. Because HR couldn't help, because it was happening at that senior level. And literally she needed somebody to talk with. Then she understood actually she's being traumatized. She's being abused. This was actually abuse. But she had to sit herself through weeks of talking, coaching, and she said, actually, why am I taking this? I'm actually being abused. I think I need to go see a therapist. And with time, she actually saw a therapist, and after a long while, she resigned. She didn't need it because it was ridiculous.
Actually, what she did was she took control of her life.
She took
life,
control.
yes.
Yes.
City. In such situations, especially at workplaces, there is always a word that bosses really do not like. Why?
And how do
you give an order, someone asks why. Why should I do it?
Yes.
You shouldn't ask questions. Why shouldn't I ask questions? It is a word that even if you do your research, it is one word that those in authority don't know how to deal with.
It's like an affront.
Yeah,
They don't.
But Dennis,
Yes.
tell me, why do you think they do not know how to deal with it?
Because they've never thought that someone would stand and question.
Do you know that even when you're a full-grown adult, that you still have time to grow up?
Yes. Yes. Growing up is
you still have time to mature.
Is a constant.
Emotionally.
Yes.
Emotionally.
When you grow up emotionally, you are able to take on views that you don't like. And you don't personalize it. You just someone has told you something about yourself which you haven't looked at in the same way.
Yes.
But you talk about people who personalize things. You are questioning them.
Yeah, exactly.
You're questioning what they've told you.
Yes.
And I think it's also their sense of leadership comes from the old school that me as a leader, I need to know everything. No, my job is for you to work. I used to say, I don't work. Please, I have no work called me. It is you guys to work. I facilitate. What do you need? Training, tools, budget. What are your ideas? You're the experts in your job. I did that job many, many years ago. I do not have that technical expertise. But there's this, and I don't know why we're not moving fast enough, that we think the leader should know everything and tell us what to do.
It's a good thing you've asked that question. Let me ask you, why do you think people are quick and they find it easy to abrogate their own authority to somebody else? And why do you think people do that?
Yes, now their own insecurity.
We don't like to take ownership and accountability.
If something goes wrong, you don't want to be the one to
look
get
it. Yes. If you look at the symptom of what we have, look at how we as Kenyans are quick to blame. There's a problem.
It's the police.
Your mind starts looking for who do we blame for this problem. Yes. And so you never see yourself like the criticism we keep talking of here of, say, the presidency. And say, but
what are we doing?
The citizens don't want to understand. They refuse to look at it. They said, no, it is not us. The president. And I said, no, you do have a role.
You get the president you deserve.
Yes.
Yeah. As I think about these things, we're talking about, very clear-cut issues at the workplace. But then look at how this conversation then now touches on other aspects.
Yes.
And then we deal with so many issues all the time, whereby we ask, what's the problem? Because we've asked questions. Where's our value system? Where did the rain start beating us? Where did this and this happen? Because it will solve a problem in the family, it will solve a problem in school, it will solve a problem at the workplace, it will solve a problem in organizations, it will solve a problem in governments, it will solve a problem in the world.
Honestly, absolutely.
Is this not where we should be going? Because we're asking, where's the problem? And I see this, the persona, the character, how we deal with issues, how we accept or reject certain things. Isn't that really the bane of what we are looking towards?
The respect,
world problem.
Yeah, the respect that everybody has an opinion. I do not necessarily have to be right. What you're saying, what's my perspective? And I respect you and say, okay, yeah, we could try that. That's your opinion. That's your experience. That respect for each other to know we are actually equal. Just because you have this title called this, when we walk out of that door, we are exactly the same before God.
You know, the issue
that's true, values.
The issue of inadequacies is something that in an African Kenyan setting is almost unacceptable in leadership. A leader, by their very existence, cannot be inadequate. Yes. And yet they're human beings. And there's no human being who is not inadequate. You see? So when you look at the influence, again, from the top and the leadership in any setup, okay, you cannot run away from the responsibility that you as an individual have. You have a responsibility. And in a workplace, the first responsibility is to yourself. Now, again, when you abrogate that responsibility for yourself and somehow someone else is supposed to take care of it, they have themselves to take care of. How well do you think they're going to take care of your interests? When I look at, I was thinking as we're talking, I was thinking of people I went with to school, some of who were bullies. Some even rose to very high positions in the government. Whenever people talk, it's as though we are still in school.
It affected them and shaped them.
It's until you say, guys, we left. We're a little ancient now.
60 years ago.
Yes, so these things, can we just... No.
No.
If I look at the depth of that problem, it tells me that this is a discussion that must be had in even greater depth than
Absolutely. And you know why, City? You remember what Maya Angelou says, and we talk about emotional intelligence. In emotional intelligence, people will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Because we're emotional creatures. Somebody told you, you'll never get married. All of you, you're very ugly. You will remember that auntie for the next 40 years.
Oh my God.
Who told you?
Yes, I went to her funeral. Sure, and that's the effect that it has on you.
Yes.
But then these, and that's why I think conversations like this are extremely important. We don't even realize the import of it because you look and say, okay, for goodness sake, Spice FM, you're talking about bullying this morning for what? But look at what it has elicited this morning, and look at what we're hearing, and look at what people are saying. This affects everything else that you do. who you're connected with, who you speak to, who you listen to, how you operate, what you do, and we keep how you relate to other people,
how you relate,
and we're asking what the problems of the world are, and this is where it starts, isn't it?
Yeah.
And look at what good leadership, because that Kenyan one is never good leader. Look at people like Mandela. He didn't say I knew everything, or Obama.
No.
You know, that ability to say, yeah, let me listen to this person, you have something, absolutely, fully agree.
You know, you're referring to evolved human beings.
Evolve.
Sorry.
You just had to, yeah?
Yeah, but it's involvement. What you're doing, saying that, you know, values, think about it, be deep. Then you evolve. You're moving beyond thinking it's just about you and my view and my leadership.
I think it's a question of having the ability to just sit down and talk and understanding that we all don't know everything. That junior could have the solutions to the problems that you see.
Most of the time they do, by the way.
And that would only happen if we listen.
And really listen, actively listen. Most of us listen to talk.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You know, they say, those who study psychology, that the key thing here is to listen to what is not being said.
Absolutely. There's a lot that's
unspoken.
I mean, I think this is the first of many that should happen. And very glad that we're able to start off with that this morning and even end the week with that. Executive Coach Mary Mukindia has been with us this morning and opening our eyes to some conversations that need to happen, no matter how uncomfortable they are. But really, it's at the very base of some of the things that we look for in terms of answers, whether it's individuals or governments. So thank you for being here this morning. Really great to have had you here. And thank you for joining us to do that this morning. Those are the conversations that we have in the Situation Room on Kenya's biggest conversation every weekday. And we've rounded off the first hour of that conversation and getting into the